Oh, Myers-Briggs, don't you wish the world was that simple? We have found from our research that 50% of sensors are not really sensors, and 50% of intuitives aren't really intuitive. Uh-oh, what's going on? Double observers change the game. What's a double observer? All EJs and IPs are double observers. They have their observers in the middle. A little bit more balanced, almost like a 60-40 ratio, right? Everyone, their top function and their bottom function is more like a 90-10 ratio. There's a crazy imbalance there. That's why you get these tidal waves in life. You can't see one side of reality, right? So all EJs and IPs are fairly balanced with their observations. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the IJs and EPs that are fairly balanced on their decisions. They know their identity and the tribe, and they go back and forth making decisions fairly easy compared to the IPs and the EJs who freak out about self and tribe. So we're focusing in on these double observers. This was a big find for us years ago. It really made a lot of things start to work. Take, for example, an ENTJ versus an ESTJ. So when we were trying to do objective typing for many years, we couldn't get numbers to stay consistent because you'd come across an ENTJ or an ESTJ and we would always get them typed wrong half the time, roughly, right? And what we finally found is that half of the ENTJs out there tend to be more dominant on their SE, and half the ESTJs out there tend to be more dominant on their NE. This makes sense. You have that friend that's like, I'm kind of either this type or that type, and I've been in Myers-Briggs and in types forever, and I really can't decide. They might be jumping on that middle function there. We'll get into this in more detail down the road in the class here, but the point today is we're all a little bit more similar than you think. The ability for half the population out there to fire back and forth between their observations, their S and their N, is fairly easy. It's not until you have people with it on the poles. If you have SI first, yeah, NE's pretty freaking hard. So what used to throw us all the time when trying to type somebody is you get somebody, you're watching these videos of them, and they're laying out all these sensory points one after another, and you're like, oh, they must be sensory dominant. But then their punchline is N. And then it's the other way around. We'll hear people that'll lay out all these intuitive patterns, and then their punchline is S. You can't be playing the bean counting game, you know? You can't be like, they said 10 sensory things in a row, therefore they're sensory. Like, no, you gotta wait for what is their punchline, what do they respect the most? And one thing that you can really see is when people are under stress, having to defend themselves, what is the Alamo that they run back to? What is the ground they're willing to die for? Somebody who's sensory dominant in a fight, they're gonna be like, these are the facts, this is what happened, and they'll stick to that. Somebody who's intuitive dominant is more like, here's what's going on, I know what's going on, screw your facts, this is the pattern, the reoccurring pattern, and they'll stick to that. So that's really what you watch for as far as the how are they dominant. It's not about how much one person does this or how much they do that or how well they can do this, because especially the IPs and the EJs, all of them are double observers. They can fire back and forth between their observations really easy. So here's the bottom line point that really helped us in objectively typing over the years, is we had to let go of the thinking that certain people can do certain things. When you're sitting down over the course of many years, objectively typing thousands of people that you got to compare your results with your partner in the other room, you're forced to see what people really are. And what they are is you have somebody who's lead sensory and they have better intuition than I do, or someone who's lead TI and they're more caring than all the FE people I know. If you're not ready for that, your mind isn't open to that, it's going to break your little mold when you go and try and type people in the real world. So the mindset that we finally had to adapt is when we're going to type somebody is that this person has everything. This person can do everything. This person has world-class skills at all the functions. Why? Because they were abused as a kid and they had to work their ass off, they had to overcome things, and everybody can do everything. Therefore, your mind doesn't get spooked when you're like, I saw sensory, I saw intuition, they're this, they're that, like, Ignore all that and track in what are they respecting? What is their punchline? All right, when you roll up on somebody and you're trying to type them, you're trying to figure out if they're SC or SI, here's how you got to frame the questions. You got to ask them in binary coins that set you up to win. I mean, it just took us years to figure out how to ask these questions that don't lead you down a dead-end street, right? So your first question is this person a gatherer or organizer? How do you know that? You get to know them, and this takes time. And when you see the pattern of this person gets a little obsessive over new information, gathering in new stuff, they're not organizing any of it, they're on to the next thing, this is probably a gatherer. And then the other way, somebody who doesn't like new information, wants to master old known information, that's an organizer. So once you determine that, then you dial in, okay, is this person gathering SE or NE, or are they organizing SI or NI? And that's where you can get a cross-check with the coins. So if you're saying, I think this person is gathering SE, I think this person is gathering facts, I think this person can see the extroverted spectrum and loves it, and is always comparing who's on top, who's fastest, who's the best. Therefore, they should be organizing the patterns. And then to what degree depends on their function stack. So if they're lead SE, you got that NI way down at the bottom. So when their organizing patterns comes out, it's going to be very scary, very mysterious to them. And they're going to present it to you like they discovered the cure of the world. Hey, guess what? Yeah, I discovered this pattern. You're like, wow, great, huh? Everybody is so proud of their fourth function once it comes out. It's like a little kid showing that he can tie his shoes. So what you look for is specifically how are they gathering or organizing sensory, or how are they gathering or organizing those patterns.